MCU villains ranked least to most likely to win Squid Game. The MCU villains might have the power and cunning to carry out their world-conquering plans, but which of them has what it takes to win Squid Game? The villains of the MCU are an eclectic mix of bad guys. Some are truly evil while others are more sympathetic. Some rely on their strength to battle the Avengers while others are cunning and intelligent. But which of the MCU's greatest villains would have made it the farthest in the deadly Squid Game? Though based on children's games, these competitions put players against each other in life-or-death situations. And while these villains would likely have no trouble with sacrificing others to ensure their survival, some of them would last longer than others in the games. Having intelligence is a big asset in the Squid Game. Unfortunately for Justin Hammer, he is much less intelligent than he pretends to be. Hammer might come into the games with a lot of confidence, but it's hard to imagine him getting past the first round. Not only is he weaker than most of the other villains, but he is also not particularly good at deception either, as he was tricked and used by Ivan Vanko. Hammer seems like the kind of player the others would use as a sacrificial lamb early on. Though he has the power of a sorcerer and would be formidable in a fight, Caecilius is just not the kind of independent thinking who would win in Squid Game. Each person is fighting for themselves, and Caecilius seems like he would be an easy one to take advantage of. He was gullible enough to believe that Dormammu would be a fair ruler of humanity and ended up paying a big price for that. The other villains might simply use Caecilius until his usefulness runs out, then get rid of him. Despite being a super soldier and the founder of Hydra, Red Skull proves that it takes a very specific type of person who is able to win in Squid Game. Red Skull is powerful and intelligent, but not in a way that exceeds some of the other villains. He would succeed to a point, but then when it becomes a game that is more about finesse and strategy, he would lose. He is a man who thinks too highly of himself and would therefore not anticipate the other villains who could outsmart him. As an advanced and powerful robot, Ultron would be an intimidating opponent to go up against in Squid Game. It feels as though he could quickly assess each of the games and come up with the most foolproof approach to victory. While that computing would get him far, Ultron also has more personality than the average robot, which would be a major drawback for him. He is impatient and easily frustrated, which would likely be costly to him in some of the games like Dalgona. Despite being perhaps the MCU's greatest villain responsible for wiping out half of the universe, Squid Game would not be an easy victory for Thanos. The Mad Titan's biggest asset going for him is that he is determined. If he saw victory in the games as a necessity, he would fight his way through just about anyone to succeed. However, strategy is not really something Thanos seems particularly skilled at. He would rather take his victory through brute force than stop and think about the most logical approach. Given some of the other villains he would be going up against, he could be outplayed in the later games. Though he initially appears to be a powerful warrior from another dimension, Mysterio is actually an ordinary, albeit brilliant human. However, the fact that Mysterio is able to trick a large portion of the population into believing him is quite impressive. While strength and power would be an asset in some of these games, it is also important to play against the other players. Mysterio could be very successful at tricking some of the simple-minded players. However, when his illusions stop fooling people, he would be in trouble. Zemo is another regular human who could nonetheless make it pretty far in Squid Game. He is the man who was successful in tearing the Avengers apart thanks to a brilliant bit of planning. It is that sharp mind for strategy that would give Zemo a big advantage. He might not be much help in tug of war, but Zemo has the patience and focus to succeed in many games while also being able to read other people in an eerily perceptive way. When it comes to deception, Agatha Harkness is another villain who proved her skills. She spent a large portion of WandaVision successfully making Wanda Maximoff believe that she was a close friend and only revealed herself when the time was right. Agatha has incredible power that can overcome people and make them see and do whatever she pleases. Even if that doesn't work on some of her opponents, she still has a cunning way about her without magic. However, she was also tricked by Wanda herself, so Agatha would have to watch out for other talented deceivers. Killmonger has just about every quality that would allow him to succeed in Squid Game. He is a patient soldier who spent years planning out and carrying out his revenge mission. When he puts it into action, it seems to work out just as he planned. Though he is not as powerful as some of the other villains, What If showed that he's a formidable warrior against any enemy thanks to his quick thinking. It's likely others would underestimate him while he strategizes how to defeat them. It's hard to imagine any villain being better suited for Squid Game than the God of Mischief himself. Though Loki eventually found redemption, he was one of the MCU's greatest villains because of how he could manipulate and trick people. Loki is arrogant but also knows how to approach a dangerous situation with caution. He could use his cunning mind to play other opponents into a false sense of confidence before defeating them. Along with his intelligence as a trickster, Loki is also powerful and has plenty of powers that he could use on the other players.